Thanks for joining me, I'm Rutten, and today I'll share how I optimized Krita for Android so that it's easier to use with my Wacom MovinkPad. As you may know, Krita is a lot more robust than most Android art apps. This means it can be difficult to access all of the controls since you may not have a keyboard handy and there are no external shortcut keys on this tablet. I will show you how I set up the Krita interface and preferences, as well as some optional hardware to make it easier to use Krita on Android. If you have Krita installed from the Google Play Store, we can get right into it. Before customizing Krita or importing any content, it could be beneficial to set a custom directory for your Krita resource files. This is because you cannot copy the resources from the default location to a new one. The default directory is protected by the Android system. There are pros and cons to doing this. First, the pros. A custom directory will allow you to better manage resources like custom brushes, since there won't be restrictions on accessing the folder. It will also allow you to more easily back up and share the customization you make to Krita. The con is that a custom directory makes Krita's startup time take longer. I clocked it at about 14 seconds versus 4 seconds. If you leave Krita running in the background, this isn't as much of an issue. You can set a custom location in Settings, Configure Krita, General, Resources. I'll choose an easy-to-find location like Documents, Krita Resources. You'll need to restart Krita to apply this. I'll let you decide if it's worth it to change the resource file location. Now we are ready to start customizing. I'll start with a default workspace so that everything is somewhat fresh. There are a few customizations that I haven't cleared, so things might look different than what's on your end. I'll explain this as we go along. The easiest thing to set up will be the palettes or dockers, as they are called in Krita. The goal here is to make frequently used features easily accessible without taking up too much of the UI, so there is ample room for the canvas. I'll drag from the top of the toolbar and dock it at the top of the UI. I'll also drag from the center grabber and make the toolbar much flatter. Next, I'll drag from the label on brush presets to dock it on the left. If you are left-handed, feel free to juxtapose the palettes if that works better for you. As we go along, you can leave out features or add in other features so that this workspace better suits your needs. I'll resize the brush presets to show 3 columns of brushes. I find it difficult to grab these edges with the pen, so you might try your finger instead. You can also edit the icon size using the menu in the top right of the palette. Every little bit of space saved helps. Next, I'll drag the tool options onto the Layers palette to group them together and leave them docked on the right. You can easily toggle between the palettes using the tabs. I'll locate the Wide Gamut and Artistic color selectors and dock them above the layers. After that, I'll remove the Advanced color selector by clicking on the X. You'll need to customize the color pickers a bit to get them to match mine, but we'll come back to that. Now let's move on to the menu bars at the top, like the toolbar. We can add some helpful shortcuts and remove anything we don't need. You can use your judgment here, but I think it's better to leave most of this so that you don't have to figure out where it is later should you need it. You're already committing to these rows taking up space, so you may as well fill them with something. I'll also mention that you can easily hide the UI to show only the canvas, so that would be a better way to remove visual clutter. I've chosen to keep these toolbars active when I hide the UI, but you can remove them as well. We'll come back to that. In Settings Toolbar Shown, you can enable and disable up to 3 groupings of tools. We only need File and Brushes and stuff. You can edit the contents of these bars in Settings Configure Toolbars. For the main toolbar, I want to keep New and Open. To add to the bar, select a command, and then use the arrow to move it to the right. To remove a command, select it and click the arrow to move it to the left. You can use the filter to search for commands. I'll remove Save and replace it with Save As. You can change the order with the up and down arrows. You can also add separator lines. Next, I'll add Clear and Deselect. Let's click OK to see how it looks. Once the main menu gets filled enough, it will get covered by the menu next to it. You can drag the second bar down to dock it beneath. You could fit both side by side, but if you make the tablet vertical, then some buttons get cut off. I'll return to editing the main bar and add Toggle Eraser Preset, Flatten Image, Record, and Quit. You can click on Apply to update the menu bar without exiting the menu. The Brushes and Stuff bar is all useful, so I will leave it as is. Same goes for the toolbox. Let's save this workspace so far. This way we can back it up and restore it if we need to. You can do this in the top right corner of the UI. I'll call it AR Illustration M, but you can call it anything you like. Next, we'll go to Configure Krita Canvas Only Preferences. If you choose to show Toolbar when the UI is hidden, you can control which menu bars will show when you hide your UI with Tab or an alternate shortcut. I like leaving the menus showing because I can use the pop-up palette and other shortcuts to access much of what I need, while allowing more space for the canvas and reducing visual clutter. If you haven't noticed, Krita is uncommonly customizable and feature-rich, so take advantage of that and customize the heck out of it. Now we'll move on to customize the canvas input preferences in the Krita configuration. This is one place you can create and edit shortcuts and gestures. For example, I'll toggle open Pan Canvas, scroll down the list, and delete the one-finger drag gesture by holding with my pen to right-click. I don't want to pan with one finger since I can already pan while zooming and rotating. Under Touch Gestures, you'll want to make sure 2-finger tap is set to undo, 3-finger tap is set to redo, and 4-finger tap shows and hides the UI. Let's click OK and test all of those. Back in the Canvas input settings, let's look under Show Pop-up Widget. When the brush tool is selected, let's make sure we can activate the pop-up palette using button 2, which is considered to be the right button. I want to delete the one-finger gesture for this so I don't accidentally set it off. I'll click on OK. Button 2 can also be pressed while hovering to right-click. Right-clicking gives you quick access to a lot of functions like in the Layers or Brushes panels, for instance. Buttons 1 and 3 are combined and are considered to be the middle button. By default, these are set to pan the canvas. I'll go to the Pan Canvas shortcuts and remove the middle button gesture. Next, I'll go to the Change Primary setting. This shortcut allows you to resize your brush by dragging it. By default, this is set to hold Shift while dragging your pen. I'll keep that and add another shortcut for middle button. That's either button 1 or 3. Click on Mouse Input and press the button. Next, click on OK to apply it. Now I can hold this button to resize my brush without using a slider. Under Tool Invocation, I'll change the Activate Line Tool shortcut to Control plus left button. That's pressing the pen tip down. Now I can hold Control on my toolbox to draw straight lines. Let's look under Alternate Invocation now. There is already a one-finger gesture for sampling the foreground color from merged layers. This will allow us to sample a color from the canvas using our finger. But let's also add a shortcut combination of Alt plus Tap or the left button to sample merged foreground color as well. I can just edit the default from Control to Alt. Now for some regular keyboard shortcuts. These are strictly keyboard shortcuts and do not involve the mouse or pen buttons. I am setting these up so I can invoke them with the Toolbox shortcut controller. You can watch my review of this if you want to learn more about it. The easiest method is to search for each shortcut. Fit to screen we will set to Control-Alt-Shift-F. Mirror all layers horizontally will be set to Control-Alt-Shift-M. And the Enclose and Fill tool will be Control-Alt-Shift-E. You can create your own custom shortcuts as well. I recommend exporting your shortcuts as a scheme to back them up. Moving on to the pop-up palette preferences, we can customize this a bit. I'll show 12 brushes, select the Wide Gamut Color selector, and disable the rotation ring and color history. I'll also make the palette size 380 pixels and the color size 200 pixels. This will reduce the amount of clutter in the pop-up palette. If there are specific brushes you want to appear here, you'll need to give them a tag and then filter them by that in the palette. The tablet preferences are next. I've adjusted the pen pressure curve to make the low end less sensitive. This works for me, but you may want to leave it at the default linear mode or customize it to your liking. Select the center node and press backspace or drag it down outside the grid to remove it. Click anywhere on the line to add a point. Watch my tutorial about calibrating pen pressure to learn more. Let's see what we can configure under Performance. I'll increase the memory limit to 80%. You can lower this if you multitask with other apps that are memory intensive. Under Advanced, we can customize the refresh rate of Krita, which can either improve performance or make for smoother stroke rendering. Set this to the refresh rate of your display. In the case of the MovinkPad Pro 14, I'll choose 120 frames per second since mine is running at 120 Hz. You can also increase the number of CPU cores Krita will utilize. I will choose 7 so that I save 1 core for background tasks. Again, if you multitask, you may want to reduce this. You'll need to restart Krita for these settings to take effect. Now let's tackle some of the general preferences. There are quite a few tabs here. The cursor settings are first. I do not want a cursor to show while I'm drawing, but I do want to show the preview outline. I'll show the outline and the effective size, which changes with my brush size as I vary my pressure. I'll change the outline color to gray. Under the Tools tab, I'll disable touch painting so it doesn't go off accidentally. In the Miscellaneous tab, you can customize the max brush size. Setting this higher will impact brush performance though, so be careful. I like to cover more of my canvas, so I set this to 3500. That's all for the general preferences. In the Display Preferences, you can go to the Canvas Decorations tab and change the pixel grid color to gray. This makes the pixel grid easier to see should you ever zoom in that close or make pixel art. I'll also set the selection overlay color to black and make it only 10% opaque. This is a personal preference, and you can feel free to leave it at red. That's all of the Krita preferences we need to customize for now. Next, let's configure the color selectors. First, the wide gamut color selector can be set to the HSY color mode with the diamond shape. This is my preference, but you can choose something else. I'll customize it a bit more. Under Shade Selector, I'll make 3 lines and set them to express hue, saturation, and value up to 50%. They are rather thin and hard to click on by default, so feel free to make them wider. 20 pixels works for me. I like to make the saturation and value into sets of 10 color patches. I'll click on OK, and now you can see I can easily adjust the color with these controls. For the artistic color picker, I'll choose grid values of 10, 16, and 7. This subdivides the hues and colors into swatches. I want the color mode to be HSY. If you prefer the advanced color selector, you can customize that in the Krita preferences. That brings us to the end of setting up Krita for Android. Between the menu buttons, gestures, pen buttons, and shortcut controller, you should now be able to work more efficiently in Krita. If you want to know how I set up the toolbox for Krita, you can check out my preset. I'll link you to that in the video description. I'll save my workspace layout once more using the same name to overwrite it. You can export and import this using a bundle in the Resource Manager. All that's left is to import any other custom content you may want. I'll bring in a bundle of my custom brushes. You will need to activate these for them to show in the UI. Now, as you can see, I can filter out only my custom brushes, which use a custom tag. If you use the Android system to browse the resource files folder, assuming you chose a custom location, you can back up and restore much of your customization here. The Krita preferences are saved in the default Krita folder, so even if you're using a custom location, you won't be able to access them. Unfortunately, you cannot back them up as an exportable file. You can back up your device though, and that should preserve the settings. This means you will have to apply these preferences manually on a new device if you somehow clear the app data. That's all for this tutorial. Hopefully you were able to use some of this knowledge to improve your digital art experience. If you did, take a quick second to like this video, and be sure to subscribe and become a member for more digital art content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.